For the first time in what feels like forever, there's actually real optimism heading into a Chicago Bears season, and it's not just because Caleb Williams is in town or because the Bears finally hit the reset button on their coaching staff. This feels different. This feels structured. Ben Johnson is here now. He's going to be looking to bring some answers. His offensive mind could be exactly what unlocks everything we've been waiting to see from Caleb. And then you look at the other side of the ball, Dennis Allen and his aggressive defensive system are exactly what this group needs after sleepwalking through most of 2024. Ryan Poles didn't hold back this offseason either. He loaded up on upgrades, completely flipped the offensive line with Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson, and Drew Dalman. He added Grady Jarrett up front. Signed Dayo Odeyingbo off the edge. Like, on paper, this roster is solid. It's deeper, it's more experienced, and it looks built to compete. But that's on paper, and once you start peeling that back and kind of unfolding things and dissecting it, you start to see there's risk all over this thing, because the second someone goes down, and someone will go down, we all know that at some point throughout the season, it could all fall apart fast. This team isn't doomed or anything, I'm not saying that. The Bears have the pieces in place to be legit this year, but they're kind of walking a tightrope right now, especially when it comes to depth. It's not about the starters, they're good enough to hang with anybody. It's about what happens in November or December when guys are banged up, missing a week here, a week there, and that's where things get shaky. Edge rusher, interior offensive line, safety, linebacker, the depth just isn't where it needs to be. It kind of feels like the Bears are currently banking on almost perfect health, and in this league, that's a bad bet. The crazy part is, most of these holes could still be fixed. There are plenty of veteran free agents just sitting there, guys with experience, guys who don't cost much, so it's not like the Bears can't clean this up. The question is, will they? Let's start with the most obvious red flag at edge rusher. It's Sweat and Odeyingbo, and then it's a cliff. That's the whole rotation. Austin Booker is next up, and while he did show some flashes last year, he's still just a second-year, fifth-round pick with 1.5 sacks to his name. Dominique Robinson hasn't shown much since his rookie year in 2022, and spent most of last season as a healthy scratch. And you're telling me that's your pass rush plan in the NFC North? That's not just risky, that's dangerous, because even the best edge rushers in the league, they don't play 90% of snaps. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. Myles Garrett isn't in every single snap of the game. The guys rotate around. It's 60 to 70% max, and you need other bodies in there to soak up reps, keep the pressure going, and prevent the line from getting gassed. And let's not forget, they let DeMarcus Walker, Darrell Taylor, and Jacob Martin all walk this offseason, and it's a lot of rotational snaps just gone. Odeyingbo helps replace some of that, sure, but that still leaves a gap. And here's the thing, Sweat wasn't even the same guy last year. He dropped from 12.5 sacks in 2023 to only 5.5 in 2024, but a big part of that was because he had no help, so he was constantly double teamed. And then on top of that, he dealt with nagging toe, shin, and ankle injuries all season long. The hope is that with Odeyingbo on the other side now, Sweat gets some cleaner looks, but that only works if the guys behind them can actually hold their own. Daniel Hardy had a few nice moments with 4 pressures on just 31 snaps, but it's a huge leap to ask someone to suddenly become a rotation mainstay. And what's frustrating is, like I said, there are real options out there. Zadarius Smith just had 9 sacks for Detroit and is sitting unsigned. Preston Smith. Matthew Judon was available until the Patriots snagged him this morning, it was, I believe. Even bringing back DeMarcus Walker again is an option, so there's just so many different opportunities that are available. None of them would cost much, but for some reason, Chicago's sitting on their hands, hoping Booker or Robinson turns into something that they haven't shown yet, and that's not a strategy, that's just wishful thinking, at least in my eyes. But obviously, I do not know how the front office works, and I don't work in a front office. I'm not qualified to talk about this, but it just feels that way. And then there's the interior offensive line. This was the group that got totally overhauled, and rightfully so. The Bears gave up 68 sacks last year, the most in the league. It was ugly. So in comes Joe Thuney, in comes Drew Dalman, in comes Jonah Jackson. That's a solid trio, I would say. And pair them with Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright, and suddenly, yeah, that starting five looks pretty legit. But again, what happens when someone goes down? And also, we all know it's tough to succeed right away and gel without continuity, and this unit is going to have no continuity, so I think it's going to take a few weeks for them to even kind of gel at all. There's going to be some bad penalties, that kind of stuff, but it's going to be interesting to watch what unfolds with this O-line, because they do have the personnel. And speaking of somebody going down, I just have to talk about it because it's going to happen. Dalman's had ankle issues 2 years in a row. Jackson has missed time in 3 straight seasons. Thuney's a tank, but nobody's bulletproof. Ryan Bates is technically the swing guy behind all 3 interior spots, but he's been banged up himself. And if he's already filling in at center, then what? Are you trusting a 6th-round rookie like Luke Newman or a fringe roster guy like Bill Murray to step in and protect Caleb Williams in December? I don't think so. You're one injury away from starting third-string linemen in critical games, and that's not how you build around a young quarterback. That's how you get him killed. And again, it's not like the Bears have to trade for Zach Martin or something. Will Hernandez, Daniel Brunskill, Brandon Scherf, they're all free agents. They all have years of starting experience. They're not stars, but they're competent NFL linemen. And when your starter tweaks something in week 11, that's exactly what you need. Now, let's talk about safety, because Jaquan Brisker is one of those guys who, when he's on the field, changes everything. He flies around, makes plays in the box, he can drop back in coverage, he can do all of it. But as a common theme, the problem is, he also is one of those guys who just can't stay on the field. 3 concussions in 3 seasons, that's not something you can ignore. He missed 12 games last year with a vestibular concussion. I think I just completely botched that word. Don't know how to say it. I'm terrible with the terminology, but whatever. And that required him to literally retrain his entire nervous system, and that's terrifying. And while he's been cleared for this season and says he's good to go, the Bears can't afford to just take his word for it and hope it doesn't happen again. Kevin Byard is holding down the other safety spot, and that helps, but he's 32 now, and the depth behind him, it's not great. Elijah Hicks, Jonathan Owens, Tavarius Moore, those guys were all exposed last year. Opposing teams targeted them. Ben Johnson, who's now the Bears head coach, lit up Jonathan Owens when he was calling plays for Detroit last year. There were 7 catches, 160 yards, and 3 touchdowns on his head, all in one game. And that's the kind of thing that will just tear you apart, that you can't recover from as a team. And again, there still are some fixes out there. Marcus Williams, Julian Blackmon, even Justin Simmons. These are vets with experience in similar systems who wouldn't need a long ramp up to contribute. The Bears also brought in 2 undrafted rookies in Major Burns and Tysheem Johnson, but let's be honest, you can't count on a UDFA to stabilize your defense mid-season. That's not fair to them, and it's not fair to your team. Also, linebacker depth is another one of those issues nobody's really talking about. Edmonds and Edwards are your starters, and on paper, they look great. But Sanborn is gone now, and behind those two, it gets thin real quick. Edmonds, for all the money he's making, hasn't exactly lived up to the deal. If he struggles or misses time, then what? You're throwing in a 4th-round rookie like Ruben Hippolyte, or a special teams guy like Noah Sewell, or Amen Ogbagaminga, and that's not going to cut it if you want to actually compete in the NFC, or even just the division itself. Even someone like Quan Alexander or Jawan Bentley would give you some veteran reliability. These guys aren't expensive. They probably would not be coming in to start, but they've been there, they've taken real NFL snaps, they've seen real offenses, and if Edmonds goes down for a game or two, you're not panicking on a Monday trying to figure out how to cover tight ends in man coverage. But the bigger issue here isn't even just depth, it's that this roster is built like a stars and scrubs team. They spent big on the starting lineup, they brought in top tier guys, but when it came time to fill out the 2nd and 3rd string spots, they went very cheap. They used draft picks, UDFAs, bargain bin free agents. Again, as I mentioned, that strategy can work if everyone stays healthy, but nobody stays completely healthy in the NFL. That's just the reality, and if you've watched the Bears for the last 5 years, you know that better than just about anyone. This team collapsed last year when guys got hurt, and right now, even with all the changes, some of those cracks are still there. What happens if Jaquan misses time again? What if Jackson or Dalman goes down? What if Sweat or Edmonds can't finish the season? Who's filling these roles in? Who's stepping up? Because as of today, the answer is rookies and pure hope. But as I mentioned, the silver lining is things can be fixed. So I'm very curious to hear what you guys think the Bears should do in the comments below, who they should pick up, if anyone. And that's really all I got for this video. I think it's perfectly fine to have sky-high expectations for the Bears. They have all the talent, they have the coaching. I think this is going to be a breakthrough year for Caleb Williams, but it's certainly going to be interesting to watch unfold, and just as a football fan in general. But yeah, man, thank you all so much if you made it to this point in the video, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world, and also let me know what you would like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.